Okay, this one's going to be a long one, but this is about Regulation G coming back in January, I believe. Now, Regulation H has been my favorite format. I've actually made a video already talking about it. I've had a lot of fun playing it. We're going back to Regulation G, which makes sense. I do feel like if you're going to have a big tournament, you want it to be in a format where you can use the cool legendary Pokemon. On the outside looking in, it's really dope because a lot of kids who you potentially want to start playing the game be younger, they want to use the cool legendaries they got to catch at the end of their story, as well as like a lot of old heads who get to use a lot of legendaries. They like, the likes of like Mewtwo and Ho-Oh and the such. I just wanted to talk about a couple of legendaries that I'm excited to see, a couple that I don't think will do very much, and a couple that I think have potential, but I just don't know how to unlock it. We'll start with the ones I don't think will do much. Terapagos. Listen, my when Reg G was first here, Terapagos was one of those mons. I was like, oh no, this will do something. I think it's very interesting. I like Terapagos a lot, design wise, as well as like how it functions in the game. Sorry, I'm moving around a bunch. I'm on an ottoman and it's not as comfortable as I want it to be, so we're shifting. But I just don't feel like Terapagos has a lot going for it. There's like some aspect of it's a normal type, which is pretty interesting. It abuses Stellar with Terra Starstorm, which I think is really interesting. It's really good on the fact that it can kind of counter any Pokemon that terrestrializes in front of you. And in Regulation G, that's very important because your terrestrialization is very important. A lot of the time, you have to decide: am I going to terrestrialize my one restricted Mon, or am I going to terrestrialize one of my supports? I think it has a really good game plan. My only thing with Terapagos is when you see it, you know what to do. I've actually during Regulation G, when I was playing like online ladder, or when I played in some of the players cups and stuff like that, I knew whenever I was fighting Terapagos deck who the Terra was. And that's the thing that throws me off with Terapagos. Terapagos is you kind of want to set it up and then you want to go into your Terra Star Storm. You want to start spamming the attacks and stuff like that. And I get that. But you do have to devote your Terra to it. And I think that's a very important thing that like no one else thinks of when they're fighting Terapagos. And because it's so choreographed, because it's so easy to predict what your Terra is, it does take away from the team as a whole. So while I think Terapagos is very strong, I'm not going to sleep on Terapagos. I don't think it's bad or anything. I just, I'm not afraid of it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't see it catching me by surprise or anything like that because of how choreographed it kind of is. It's not a bad thing. I think there are going to be some players who do take Terapagos to the top. There's potential. It's a strong Pokemon. Its ability is really good. I do think its ability to basically the first attack on it is not very effective regardless. I think it's really good on its survivability. I think being able to turn off weather as well as terrain at the same time in one go is really good. But it is a Terra Magnet, and I think that's the detriment part of it. I think that's the detriment of it because Terra is so important, especially in this metagame. Another Pokemon I don't see doing much will be Zacian. The thing with Zacian, I do feel like somehow it got hit the most out of it in Zamazenta with the nerf to their abilities, and I think that's very funny. I think Zacian's a very strong Pokemon, and if you can probably facilitate it very well, if you have it next to like gouging fire and stuff, other ways to kind of buff them on. But I just don't see it doing as much, especially when there's a lot stronger Pokemon like the Calyrex is running around, and those are going to be. We'll get to those in a minute. Those are going to be very strong, but there's also some other Pokemon I think are really strong. I think Zacian has some potential, but I don't think it'll be like too big of a threat. There's a lot of intimidates going around, a lot of ways to lower attack, and without it getting that attack on switch in anymore, it only gets it that first time it's out. Kind of means that when you send it out, it's time to go. It's not like back in Sword and Shield where like you send it out, oh, it got hit with a parting shot. Well, that's okay. I'll swap it back in. It gets another attack raise. It was very different in Gen 8. It does not get that anymore. I do feel like once again, Intimidate is very popular. A lot of Pokemon have that ability. There's a lot of ways around it. I mean, you could. Oh, you can actually. I was gonna say you could run like a that one that like prevents abilities from affecting you, but then you wouldn't be in your crown form. I guess could you use base Zom? I mean not Zom. I'm sorry, Zacian. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think this one is gonna work. I do feel like this is one of those situations where its crown form is obviously better, but Is it better without the item? I don't know. That's listen. It maybe be so. This is one of those things where this Aura Terapagos could surprise me, and it could actually be really good. And I'm just overlooking something, but I just don't see Zacian being as strong as before. Um, Gen 8 was different. It had a lot going for it in Gen 8. This time, I don't think it does. Has a lot of competition. With It's different when you only have one restricted. It's a ton of competition. There's a lot of other Pokemon that I think are just generically going to be better. And I guess we can get to those now. I do feel like something the best designed Pokemon, in my opinion, which is Kyogre and Groudon. I think those two are going to always have a thing. It's been shown in every single format almost that weather is strong, and having arguably the best sun setter in the game and the best rain setter in the game is insane. You could do like double rain setters where you could have like Kyogre plus Pelipper, or you can have like Torkoal plus Groudon, which would be really good on the Trick Room team because Groudon's not that fast. I do think both of those Pokemon, oh my god, it'd be insane because Pelipper has like Tailwind, which also Kyogre's a pretty speedy Mon. Both of those Pokemon are going to do insanely well. I think I can see them do it both doing good. Another Pokemon I'd like to see really good that's a weather setter is Koraidon. We saw a bit of Koraidon last time we had Regulation G, but I really feel like it didn't do much. I feel like it was like one of those things where it's like I didn't see it too much. You saw a lot more Miraidon, which I guess because you don't have to worry about weather being switched around as much, and Miraidon also works really good in rain because it gets access to thunder, which is a very strong move. I do think Miraidon's going to be insane. I think Miraidon, Shadow Rider Calyrex, and Ice Rider Calyrex are going to be like really important threats. There's some potential for, I think there's some potential for Xerneas to come back and actually do something, um, because the main thing with Xerneas is that it was getting outclassed by a lot of strong steel types, and I guess Artralodon does exist, but I do feel like it's really useful in this metagame. I think it's something that could be very good. Some Pokemon I would like to see that potentially have potential is a Kyurem, any of the Kyurem forms. I do feel like white and black are very strong. I mean, there is some weaker points to them. Like I do feel like a Turbo Blaze and I forget Terravolt. I think it's Terravolt, right? I think those abilities are really good, but they don't. The issue is now, people say power creep in Pokemon. This is what they mean. Abilities now are a lot more insane. I guess there's a team you could potentially facilitate with Kyurem White, where you're like abusing. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's there's just oh man, Kyurem's so cool, but I don't think there's much you can do with it. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of the origin forms of like Palkia and Dialga. I think we saw a bit of Dialga's origin form at the beginning of Reg G, but it didn't do much. I do feel like those will be interesting in a two restricted format because I don't know if you guys remember, but Gen 8 Palkia with Kyogre was an insane core you could do. And I'd like to see if Origin Form Palkia alongside Kyogre would be something interesting to have there, but we don't have a two reg format. We just only have to one reg format, so it's a little different. Uh, I do feel like both of those Pokemon have something they could potentially do. Um, I don't know. It's very interesting. Like I sometimes sit down and I theory crafts like, oh, could Ho-Oh be good here? Ho-Oh is interesting, but it's just not strong enough. A lot of the issues that I think with Regulation G is a lot of these Pokemon they they just don't have the tools. I feel like there's some good picks. They just don't have tools. I feel like if Lugia was a bit stronger, it could be something. Multi skill is a very strong ability. I think Psychic Flying is an interesting type combination. The problem is Shadow Rider exists. It's faster and it hits insanely hard. And so because of that, I don't think Lugia is a good pick. And it's like, okay, well, what if we picked something that could potentially withstand it, like Yveltal? And it's like, okay, well, Yveltal technically can tank a hit from Shadow Rider Calyrex, but like Yveltal's not as good. I do think Dark Flying's a fine type combination. I think Yveltal is really cool. I like the design. I think it's really dope. Oblivion Wing's fun. It's just not bulky enough. Oblivion Wing kind of gives the idea that this Pokemon's insanely bulky, and it's really not. I feel like you get more mileage out of like Mandibuzz. which at that point you just use Mandibus because it's not a restricted mon, and you can actually have a different restricted mon on your team. But I think I've already mentioned it. I expect to see Miraidon. I do think the fact it sets up terrain, the fact that it hits so hard. Like Terra Electric, Magnet are fucking specs. It's insane how hard that thing hits. It actually catches you off guard. I didn't think it's so funny. Last time we had Regulation G, I was actually being like, oh, I don't think Miraidon's really good. I expected Koraidon to be good because I think Sun is very powerful. I did not expect much out of Miraidon. I was wrong. All you need to do is get rid of any other terrain setters, and you're good. And that's not hard to do if you build your team around it. It's like Rillaboom's very popular, and I think Rillaboom will be popular again, but there's a lot of things that Rillaboom just kind of can't beat. So I do think that's just one of those things where, you know, uh, that you take out the Rillaboom or their Indeedee, and then you just kind of drop Miraidon and you sweep. You don't need any setup. I think that's another potential thing that's very important. With the Pokemon, expect to be good. For Ice Rider, you need Trick Room setup, but Trick Room's not hard to do. It's such an easy thing to set up if you have the right tools, and there's a lot of Pokemon that have the right tools to set up Trick Room. But something like Shadow Rider doesn't need much setup. It's just kind of it gets in. Maybe you Rage Powder to give it a chance to get a nasty plot up or something, but it doesn't need it. It can just kind of start hitting things. Uh, was it Astral Barrage is insanely strong, so it's one of those things where it's like you're not really thinking too much. It's just kind of hitting the go button. Miraidon, all it kind of needs to do is Terra, and it's not even a Terra sync. The thing with Miraidon that makes it different from Terrapagos is it doesn't require the Terra. You can nuke things without a Terra. The Terra just helps you nuke things. And you really don't need the help all the time. There's very few kills you probably need the Terra for. I guess if they resisted or something, like you're fighting Raging Bolt. But I mean, even then, if you're fighting Raging Bolt, you just drop a Draco. There's really man, it's such a good mon. Miraidon might be the best out of all the Pokemon in Regulation G. I think it might be the best. There's an argument for it. Um, Anything else I expect to see really? Like I said, I expect to see Kyogre because Rain's very popular. It's a cool team, and Artralodon's really strong. It also like Raging Bolt benefits because it learns Thunder. I could see that being a very popular kind of combination. And like I said, even Miraidon benefits from Rain. So I think expect to see a bunch of Rain setters. Even if they're not playing Kyogre, I expect to see Pelipper or I expect to see like a cheeky like Whimsicott with Rain Dance or something. Just because Miraidon would benefit from it anyway. I think that's very strong. I would like to see if Hail kind of makes an appearance alongside like Ice Rider because Ice Rider is not like weak. I'm pretty sure it's pretty bulky. It's not. I mean, it's very strong, but I also think it has some bulk to it. I think it's where all the points and the speed goes. So if that's the case, then potentially you could do like Hail plus Ice Rider, right? And that would be pretty interesting. I don't know. Those are things I have to test out. We have until January, so we got like 2 weeks before it's back to Reg G. So if you're interested in Reg G, what are you planning on running? Let me know. I'm probably going to build a team with you know what? Eveltal. Fuck it. I think that will be fun. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but if I do figure this team out before, I will let you guys know. I'll give you guys the little cheeky EV spreads and stuff. But I do think this is going to be a lot of fun. This format. I'm probably going to also build a Miraidon team. Just want how to have two teams going because I do like Miraidon, and I think it's great because it also kind of boosts the future paradoxes. I feel like the future paradoxes of the Swords of Justice just kind of never got their spot in the sunlight. Like we all knew Walking Wake was going to be interesting, even though it turned out to be the least used one, which is kind of crazy. But like Raging Bolt's insane, Gouging Fire got a lot of usage, so those got the chance to shine. Nobody was really using Crown Boulder or Leaves. It's the worst one. That's terrible. Iron Leaf sucks. I'm beyond. I don't like Iron Leaves. I do, however, think Iron Crown has a chance. Iron Boulder is very funny. I do like its design. So I would like to maybe give those a shot. And I do feel like it's one of those things where like you could do like a I don't know what is it? Tachyon Cutter is a special move. You could do like a Specs Iron Crown next to your Miraidon or something. Maybe use Pincurchin. I don't know. It'd be interesting. That might be something I try to mess with, but Yeah, there's I don't know. It's gonna be a fun format again. My only thing is I kind of wish we would have moved to like a regulation I, kind of a new format. But I understand we're kind of getting close to Gen 10 coming out. So they're kind of just like, this is probably gonna be the last format we play is gonna be a regulation G, and then we're eventually probably stay in this for the rest of next year, and then new gen potentially drops next year, and then we go into that format for 2026. So that'll be interesting. I'm very excited for the new games. I can't wait for ZA to see what that brings. I do have a theory that maybe megas will be the gimmick for Gen 10. We'll just get like a couple more megas, and that'll be it. We'll bring megas back. We can kind of rotate them back in. Gen 11, they can just rotate back in Z moves or something. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't hate that idea. I think because we're supposed to be allegedly getting more megas for Gen 6 anyway, which will be sick. So it'd be nice if we got like a Mega Delphox, and then Delphox could, do something. I know Delphox got a lot of play at the beginning of Generation H. I did like that. The fact that Delphox was getting used. This is why Regulation H was so good. Delphox actually had use. It was really good on Sun teams as well as the hybrid teams, the like Psy Spam plus Sun. It was really good on both. I I love that. I did like that. But with it potentially getting a mega, maybe a mega muck or something, it would be pretty dope to see those if we get them in Gen 10. So who knows if megas are coming back Gen 10? I doubt, but honestly, I would love it. I think that's a good move because megas are so profitable. I kind of hate it because it's my least favorite of the regional gimmicks. No, I'm sorry, Dynamax exists. I'm so sorry. How could I forget? I wrote it out my brain as soon as we stopped playing that format. But I would, it's a good way to budget. It's a good way to sell merch. I think megas are good, and if they have more megas, it'd be interesting. So that would be great. Hopefully, with Gen 10 we get something fun. But I am excited to play Regulation G again. I do like this regulation. I think it's really good. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So, like I said, if you're excited for Regulation G coming back, let me know. What teams are you thinking about running? What's your favorite restricted Pokemon? Do you have a restricted Pokemon idea you're kind of cooking that might not be orthodox? Are there any mythicals you wish you could use? Um, why can't I use Meloetta, as terrible as it is? But yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble about Pokemon again. Unfortunately, there will be a lot of this on this channel. I do like the Pokemon. Anyway, thank you. Bye.